All right, so welcome back everyone to the Radiant Woman podcast, and I am so excited that I am joined today by the beautiful Jilly Torrez, tuning in from San Diego,
Yep.
California. Ooh, ooh. And yeah, I'm so excited for today because we first connected last year in Denver in September and which was very like synchronistic. And then again, we just saw each other again in Puerto Rico a couple months ago. And so, okay, so I'm gonna intro you and then I'm gonna dive straight in. So Jilly is a seven-figure mentor. She is the author of the new book, oh my God, Waterlands, which is, let's talk about that. So much to talk about. She is a passive income strategist for coaches. And I love this message of freeing God's people from time, from linear time. So, welcome to the podcast, Jilly. So great to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here from across the world.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, I'm in New Zealand and Jilly's in San Diego. So good. Okay, so I feel like I did have an opening question, but I feel like can we just first touch on what we were speaking out about just before we jumped in here, which was like you were just sharing how you're really just owning more of who you are and how you operate in life and
Mhm.
business and just being really unapologetic in that. And so, do you want to just touch on that a little bit? Because obviously, you're very successful in business. And yeah, kind of, it's almost like clearing up some of the misconceptions around like who we need to be and how we need to show up to be successful in business as women.
Oh yeah.
Loaded question. I
It,
know.
it's actually I find that I went through things really early in life. When you're talking about this whole like identity shift that most successful people go through at some point where they're just like, I think I just built a prison for myself and I don't know who I am anymore, but they're making all this money.
Yeah.
I went through that when when I hit my first six-figure year. So I'm a very different type of human, that's for sure. I was like awful at school,
What do you mean?
awful at school. Like I'm just when it comes to the study and sitting in a classroom, definitely ADHD. I was diagnosed ADHD. I was on medication for almost 13 years. And that was like a big part of I mean, I genuinely was just like, I think I'm stupid and school is not for me. And what am I going to study? I like remember that moment when I was like, I just want to be a teacher because I love kids and it's the easiest thing to do because I can't do school. Luckily, I really had such a divine intervention really young where I moved out at 16 and I was on my own and I lived with friends and they would drive me back and forth to work. So I actually became a preschool teacher before I was ever an entrepreneur. But through that process, moving out so young, I really had to learn from an early age how to live on my own and go through life adversity without being able to go home to a house. Like there was no house to go home to. Let's just say that. My family is a broken family. There's been a lot of poverty. There's been a lot of ups and downs and all arounds. And like there was no Jilly's childhood home, right? There was no mommy's gonna get let me use her credit to pay for college. There was no help me apply for scholarships. Like I had to do everything on my own.
Yeah.
And after that, I really started to just accept that I was going to be like this my whole life and that I just was never going to be in academics and I was just not really going to experience success and that's it and that's fine. Children were my whole life. Like I still am a child. Like I get along with children and I'm very motherly because I'm a child and that's one of the things about ADHD, right? Like can't sit still or has too much energy or so much creativity, like so much creativity. And as I got older, I really started to accept that part of myself. And
Mhm.
really, I think a lot of women are our brain biology functions differently than men. And so our neural pathways connect like subjects you would never connect, right? Like our brains just go, this is connected over here and over here and over here. And that's why we're very holistic.
Yeah.
And that's why in a lot of indigenous communities, which I'm in my path of re-indigenizing myself, I'm mixed woman. So my tribe, my people come from California. I'm a descendant of the Chumash people. And I'm also Yaqui native, which is Mexican native, and also African American and German and Spanish. So being that mix, right? You guys know a little bit in New Zealand. I know the Maori people very well, and one of the things that I really started to feel was like, okay, if I just function differently than most people, like what's my path? Like where am I supposed to go? And I started studying psychology, and
Mm.
I started studying human relationships. And this was in community college. I don't know if you guys call it the same there, but like I couldn't get into university. So I ended up, at the community college. And this fascinated me because I come from a childhood home of just very toxic relationship dynamics because of all the trauma that my lineage has been through. And I mean, colonization trauma, relationship trauma, sexual trauma. I mean, you name it, right? Drugs, alcohol. And so coming from that, I just really immersed myself in the relationships and identity and psychology. And like, I was just like, what's wrong with me? Like, seriously, what is wrong with me? I have all these issues. And I had a lot of intimacy issues back then. I really had a hard time letting people in. I was a little bit guarded and, independent woman, single mom. And so that really brought me to my beginning journey of entrepreneurship. And
Mm.
I found this beautiful product. I had a whole awakening around water, and my water business was really like scientific. It was very, let me test all the water, let me learn all these things.
Mhm.
And then I started to realize that I can't do business like everybody else. Like, I could not fake it till you make it. I can't act or say things that are not true. Like, that did not feel good for me. Hard closing. Are you kidding me? Hard closing somebody. I was trying to be successful. I was trying to learn what all the successful people say. And I'm like, this is not natural. Like, I suck at this. But that's when I had my massive awakening, and I decided to leave home, pack my backpack, and backpack the world. So I started in Japan, ended up going down to South America, and that's where I fell in love with water, springs. And
Mm.
I would go to these sacred springs by myself. I would ask the native people there. They would guide me to the certain places, and I started testing water and communing with water and like taking it deeper than just studying water science. It was like, I was like,
Mm.
I am so weird and different. And like, I don't even know how to explain what I'm doing.
Like going
And
from science to like the embodiment and the spiritual aspects of the water, and yeah, yes,
And
yes.
it's in my lineage. Everybody asks me, how do you get all these water codes? Where do you get these words and these sayings? And I'm like, it's literally in my bloodline. Like, water protecting is in my bloodline. And
Yeah.
it's just funny how it all wove together. But
Hmm.
when I came back to the States after being away for 8 months, um, that's when I had my identity shift and my like crisis. You could say identity crisis, where I was like, I could see everything. I could see people chasing success. I could see people like why they're doing things and why they're stressed out and why they have anxiety and why they're putting money before happiness. And I was I lived in Orange County. If you've ever been to Orange County, it's super materialistic,
Yeah.
very materialistic. So I came back to Orange County, and that witnessing made me go, why am I really doing this? And my heart, I call it liquidating my heart. Like, my heart was opened on that backpacking journey. So when I came home, I was like, all right, Jilly's doing this Jilly's way. And I just started building relationships. I started building community events. I started doing sound baths at my community events, selling water systems. I started merging retreats and this was back in 2017, where people weren't really doing that. And everybody would always ask me, like, how are you getting success? Like, how
Mm,
are you doing it? And I'm like,
mm.
well, first you got to deprogram from the identity that you think you need to be, that the masks of all the societal things that you have to wear. And then you have to let yourself be it.
Right.
And there's a difference, right? Once somebody goes through an identity shift and all of their identities melt off of them, they're like, you're like a baby deer or a baby, like you're just trying to walk like a baby horse, with these little legs and
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
it's such a funny process because you feel naked, you feel raw, but that's the most beautiful. That's like the artist part of me that
Yes.
once I started doing that, I was like, I'm just going to allow myself to be misunderstood,
Yeah.
that part. And especially for women who have big visions, like we have been so programmed, but I'm also very thankful that I wasn't really indoctrinated in corporate environments because I literally couldn't even keep a job. Like I was never built for it. So I didn't really get
Mhm.
why people stayed in these unhappy situations or prisons of their businesses for so long. Because for me, I learned about, do you know about the human design? Do you talk about this on this podcast? Yeah.
100%. As you're talking, I'm like, because I have a six line in human design, so that
Oh,
the whole identity crisis and like death and rebirth, I'm like, yeah, I go through that most days. Like as a six line, it's like it's almost like a constant part of my journey. So I've had to get really good at like being in the void and like the rawness and the because I'm in that a lot of the time. Yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah.
some of my best friends are sixes. I'm a 5 2, so um my design comes with lots of projections
Yes.
and lots of expectations from other people. And I always joke, I'm like, I literally don't even like sometimes my brain, I'm right brained as well. So I'm in my cognitive architecture, I'm right, 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 right. So what they call us is the quad right brain. My fiance, he's actually left, 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 left. So we're like,
Good team.
yeah, let's just say that exactly.
Yeah.
But that like finding out my brain and how I work and how I don't actually need to know what I'm doing like ever. And I and like
Mine is everything. That's it. Like stop. It's like I have multiple like a seven-figure passive income, and I don't know what I'm doing ever. Yes,
and
more of that.
I
So good.
and I feel like if anybody's in the human design and like you could probably listeners could probably tell me more about my right brain. I've been studying it for about 7 8 years now. We applied it to our network marketing team, but the human design actually I really do got to shout it out because once I learned about my right brain, it made me go, oh, so that's why I can just make up stuff in the moment. And it to other people, they think that I know what I'm doing because I just allow myself to do things in the moment. And they think I've like created some big strategy or, planned it all out. And I'm like, well, really, when you're embodied, like you have so much strategy that compounds in your life and
Mhm.
all the wisdom just becomes things that you stand on. And so for our engagement, me and my fiance, he let me make it up as we go. And
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to do the whole, you know, the man plans everything and has to surprise me and blah, blah, blah. I was like, can I just make this up as we go? And can we do a water ceremony? And can we like go bring this water to the ocean? And I was just making it up as we go. But that obviously some people call that channeling or however you want to call it. Right. But those are the moments where I thrive.
Yeah.
And when I'm not thriving is when there's all this pressure to be certain and all this pressure, like, on leaders that is like, you have to know. And if you don't know, you don't have
Yeah.
authority. And, people train on that stuff. They're like, you should be in your
Yeah.
authority and
Yeah.
you should be certain so people follow you.
Uh-huh.
And I'm over here like, well, actually, I'm uncertain and I embrace the uncertainty and I don't pressure myself to have to know everything. And that's why people follow me.
Yes.
And I always like to joke, I'm like into the unknown.
This is like, okay, this is crazy that you're talking about this, Jilly. Literally go back and watch the video, the reel I posted last night. It's exactly talking about what you're talking about. Yeah, it's like that moment in Puerto Rico when we saw each other in the bathroom and then like you said something and oh you're like I'm in a personal 1 year and I'm in a personal 1 year and we're both and then we just had like goosebumps and we're like whoa it's like I'm getting that same thing now and like oh yes this is what I'm so feel juiced up about like in talking about right now because I started noticing this pattern, right? It's like if we say we take Shosh, for example, who's both our mentor right now, and it's like people call her a unicorn in the industry because she's 26 million or whatever in 6 years coaching, like that's kind of unheard of. And and I read this line in her book and it was like if you don't know who you are or what you're doing, like you're in the void. Welcome to the void. It's the best place to be. And I was like, "Oh my God." And then I just started looking back at my last 10 years in entrepreneurship and started looking at these patterns and who I work with, etc. And I was like, "Oh my God." It's people's need to know everything and have full certainty from external things and have full clarity fucks people like it has people just play small and not take action
Oh, girl.
like oh my god I just this is my brain my whole body's been lining up about this whole friggin subject and topic the last few days because I'm just seeing it so clearly and I'm like oh my god and exactly what you just said around like because what I'm hearing and what you share around this is that the reason that you have created a lot of success is because you've been so okay and good in the uncertainty and the unknown and you've really embraced that place and like yesterday, I was sitting there and I was reflecting and I looked at when have I been the most successful in my business? And it's the same thing. It's when like I wasn't even focused on like a goal or like this strategy or like this masterclass. It was literally just like every moment I'm following what lights up my body and has me
Mhm.
feel most alive. And I'm just following that. It's like this the trail of aliveness breadcrumbs. And when I follow that, I suddenly look and I go, oh, just like I just had a 50K month. Oh, cool. Like doesn't even really matter.
Yep.
Carry on. Like because it's the frequency of aliveness and joy. And so yeah, yes.
I mean,
Yes, yes, yes.
this is the water path. This is the reason I wrote my book. Well, really, because it took me 4 years to write my book, is because,
Yes,
and this is my
tell
by
us
the
about
way.
your book and also like and even like your book and kind of how you became the water heiress and even like
Mm.
I've got to say you're the most committed person to your personal branding that I've ever met. Like
I know.
I
I'm an
love
artist.
it. It's like everywhere you go, like you see Jilly, she's got her like blue water bottles and she's like spraying herself and she's like her team are, like spraying themselves. It's like you talk with like water terminology and everything is about the water and I love it. And I remember something I remember about you in Denver last year was when you said, you're like, what was it? You said if someone comes into my field, into my splash zone, like watch out, you're gonna get wet, like you're gonna get hydrated. And I was like, yes. This is so I love this. Like how you just weave all the water terminology. And I was like, and it's so I love it so much because what you shared in that opening piece around how you at school you felt like you were dumb or you just weren't smart.
Mhm.
But in fact, when I was hearing you talk about like water and how you link it all through healing and money and wealth, and you just link everything through the terminology of water, I'm like, this chick's a fucking genius. Like, it's so, yeah, so,
Thank you. I appreciate that. I always say, I'm like, I wouldn't call it a commitment to my brand. I call it being authenticated.
yeah, Embodiment.
So authentication to me, I read about it in my book, but it essentially means like you are your most authentic God-given expression, you're going to get the authenticated stamp. Right. And like that's how I teach branding and that's how I teach messaging. And I mean, to me, business is ministry. To me, business is so much more than just the brand. I don't say on brand, I say on legacy a
Yep.
lot because I'm like, this is in my body. Like this, God wrote this in my water molecules already. Like this is my blueprint. And people think I come up with this stuff, but it's like when you actually know how the water in your body works and that like all the way down to your DNA is held together by hydrogen bonds.
Mhm.
Okay, hydrogen is the original form of water. So like your water molecules in your body, water holds memory. A lot of people know that, right? I went to Masaru Emoto's school. He's a scientist that studied water in Tokyo. I studied with Tyler LeBaron with Hydrogen Water Institute. Like there's proven science today that
Mhm.
hydrogen and water holds information. And in my journey of uncovering the water, like, yes, I'm blessed that this water system came into my life. I am so blessed that, my womb is hydrated now and I don't have to deal with the things that I dealt with before. But
Mhm.
the way that I was raised was around the water. We're from Central California, San Luis Obispo area. We're indigenous to that area. The ocean is right there. We always had ponds. I was always playing in water growing up. Um, I always share that, like, I would sit in the shower for hours just regulating with the water. Like my nervous system would regulate with water
Mhm.
growing up. And so, like, I've never lived away from the coast. I've always lived near water. So that connection was already in me, right? Like, God chose me to live that life. And then once I got older, and then I found out about water science and the water systems, I mean, I was typical like everybody else, doing the water testing and doing the workshops. But then it was like, you are like deeply dehydrated. Like, it
Mhm.
was like once I got hydrated truly in my cells in my body, it
Mhm.
was like, whoa, you're actually, I was shown where I was being really dehydrated.
Mhm.
So I always say, you got to watch out for thirsty people.
Yeah.
And like, I always joke that when true hydration came into my life, I was shown all the codependency I had in my life
Mhm.
because I started learning. Of course, I'm like learning about hydration and thirst. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why am I thirsting for this man? And I dated a narcissist back then, and it was just crazy. I just remember
Especially
this
being
moment.
a 5'2", like I'm assuming being a 5'2", you would have had all extra thirsty people around you wanting to.
I didn't know that until human
Yeah,
design, but
yeah.
yeah, and truly, like I am somebody who, like, I'm so they call it innocence motivated in human design, where like I'm motivated by just innocence. I'm very childlike, so a lot of people describe me as. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, like these thirsty people, like it was like I could see people's thirst all of a sudden. It wasn't just thirst for
Yeah.
like, water. It was actually thirst for my energy. And then there's a movie called The Celestine Prophecy. It's a really good book as well, if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah, a
It's
very long time ago, I think I read that. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
In the movie, they talk about dominance and how people take energy from each other. And I just remember being in Peru, watching the movie about Peru and being like, people are thirsty. Like they're trying to take my energy. Like I need to, whoa. And then I would catch myself. So a lot of the time when I tell my story about water, I can't not tell the story of codependence
Yeah.
because water will show you where you're thirsting. When you really apply the water teachings to your life in an applicable way, um, fluidity became a practice.
Right.
Like it became like, Jilly, where are you being rigid? Jilly, where are you putting perfection on yourself. And that's why I call them dams. And it was like all of a sudden the water codes, what I call them now, the water wisdom, the water teachings became so real that I have gone through tremendous adversity. And if it wasn't for the water path, like I have no idea how I would have gotten through it because I take it seriously. I am very focused when it comes to being adaptable.
Hmm.
And this is the thing about water is that we have dams that in our water body through the water lens, I write about this. We have these dams in our water body that are frozen in time, moments that happen throughout our life that are frozen. And when we have a trigger, they come up
They spill over.
and
Yeah.
and and if we're able to surrender, to soften through the triggers, to really adapt and flow and let go. I mean, it sounds so simple,
Yeah.
but that will
But
actually
it's
affect you
challenging. For most people, that's like one of the most challenging
hard.
to really
Yeah.
just, yeah. Yeah.
And when you I call it liquidating, right? We need to liquidate this dam, this frozen dam. And then once the liquidation happens, then your assets become readily available, right? And so like when we liquidate something, that like liquidate the assets, it becomes readily available. And
Mhm,
so this is what I call water alchemy in the body.
mhm.
You learn about your physical like biology and you apply the water lens to it. And this is why I always teach about body and money. Body and money. It's like the water body and the currency codes and how when so many women are talking about coming into money and it's like in your nervous system and it's all about like the potential and being in the overflow and that is an actual science happening in your nervous system, something that I call having a wet nervous system. So get this,
Mhm,
when you are stressed,
mhm.
your tear ducts are restricted, your
Wow.
mouth gets dry,
Wow.
you either constrict sweating or you start sweating.
Mhm.
So when you have a wet, hydrated nervous system, you don't hold back your tears. You let them flow.
Mm.
Like I've had moments at my retreats. I do high level women's retreats. And like some of these women, they're just so successful and in that embodiment that they don't even remember the last time that they cried, and
Yeah.
they don't understand that connection with the tears and the water alchemy of the body. And
Mhm,
that's how the money code started coming in for me was,
mhm.
how are you feeling around money, like, right, tune into your relationship with it. It's dehydrated, it's stagnant.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for saying that so much because I'm like, sometimes I get annoyed when it's all, I mean, it's definitely shifting now, but how for such a long time it was all about money mindset. And it's like, it's less, exactly. It's like, because, yes, and I
yeah.
thank you so much for explaining the way you just articulated that is so beautiful and it lands so deeply for me because even for me, it makes sense of like, because I've experienced the same thing in the sense of like, I could spend a month like strategizing, like doing all the right things. I run this masterclass, da da da. And it might go all right, but like I've had times when I've done that and I might have a 16K month
Mhm.
versus like pretty low. And then versus when I'm just like, I'll like bawl my eyes out. This was actually a few weeks ago. It's like I bawl my eyes out. I express something to someone that I was terrified of expressing. I cry so much. So the water is flowing. And then the next day I had a 35K day. And like, I'm like, even though like I understand so much around healing trauma and embodiment, and because when you share about the frozen dams in the body, what I hear in that is like it's the trauma, it's the blocked emotion that we're holding on to, right? Right. And so I understand so much of that, but I think, yeah, the way you just explained that is like it just makes sense on a whole deeper level. So I am loving
The
this conversation.
the the invitation,
Yeah.
I always say this, the invitation is, remember, your body comes with you in everything that you do. Your water body is there too. And what I find is, because people don't understand the waters in the body, they don't understand why it's important to get wet as a woman. And I know that gets sexualized and it's fine because I can laugh at it, you know? But I'm like,
In all ways.
when I say get wet, I am not just talking about like sexual fluids. I'm talking about, girl, your creativity, your fertility, your joy, like that creativity in the body. Why is the sacral element water? I wonder why. Because it's creativity. Water represents creativity.
Oh, I
And so
get it.
in the feminine body, what oftentimes happens, I used to like really focus on health and help a lot of my clients with health and, you know, getting off endometriosis meds or PCOS or cysts or whatever. And so before the Get Wet was a part of my brand, I found myself having conversations with my clients, and I'd be like, okay, well, when's your last period? Right? Like, are you connected with your womb? How's your bladder? If it's a woman who's had a baby, how's your pelvic floor, you know, your pelvic bowl, as they say. And
Mhm.
I found that a lot of women are disconnected from the waters in their body, and they don't truly understand that the fluids that you have throughout the month, it's actually really good to track it, because if you're tracking it, then you know where your hormones are, and your hormones are released into your bloodstream, and your blood is made out of water. And your blood is what actually makes the baby once you have a baby. And so, and once you like, this is the crazy part about the water, even in science, where it's like people are talking about, let's say, conception,
Mhm.
and they're talking about like how to get pregnant, how to get pregnant.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, if you don't have a baby before you're 34 or 35, then your egg count goes down.
Mhm.
Bitch, it's not about the egg count.
Yeah.
It's about
Yeah, how
the
juicy.
quality. It's about the quality of your eggs. And if you actually look it up, what does the sperm travel in? The water. The
Mm,
sperm has to travel through the fluids in the womb to get to the egg, and then the egg,
mhm,
depending on the health of the egg's membrane around the egg, that's also made up of water.
mhm,
It's all water. But people don't talk about the water because it's kind of like this passive substance. But what I have found is that, especially as a woman, if you really understand the waters in your body, you're going to understand money. You're going to understand abundance. So, water taking me on a journey with money and shown me, okay, these currencies need to flow. Don't put your money in the bank and have it sit there. It's stagnating. That's stagnant water. It causes
mm,
uh, parasites in the water, and you know, all of these issues that happen when the water is stagnant. Think about like a stagnant pool or a
yeah,
stagnant like pond or something, right?
yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, I got to move the water, then I must move my currencies. And so then once I get it moving again, that's living water. And I know you know about our water. So I'm like, think about it. The movement, the aliveness of the water, that's how money should be. Money should be alive too.
Mm,
Right. And so once you understand that money should be moving, now it's about how to steward the money. And so the way that the water showed me, I remember when I got this drop, and that's what I call a download. So I was
yeah.
in this big moment, and I'm like, I need to figure out taxes. Like, I'm making more money. I don't understand. Like, I got my big old six-figure tax bill, my
Yeah.
first one, right? First, I'm the first millionaire in my family. So I don't know what I'm
Yes. So good.
doing. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, how do I do this money thing? And I got an image of the water cycle.
Right.
And I live in California. So we have dams,
Mhm.
and the dams are actually causing the droughts
Mm,
in California. If you know about the environment, that's what happens when you dam up the water. It affects the whole ecosystem and it causes droughts. And this is happening all over the world. Okay. So I was shown the water cycle and I was like, I think money needs to move like water. How
Mm,
does water move? It circulates,
mhm,
right? You've probably heard other women talk about circulating money.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
Hmm. And all of a sudden I go, well, what's wrong with money today? Oh, the dams are the corporations hoarding the money. What
Mm.
do I need to do? I need to participate in bringing the money back to make it rain again. So,
So good.
so cool. It's so cool.
So
And
you,
I'm like, oh, so the big corporations are just hoarding all the money and the money is stagnating. So like this wealth transfer that we're going through right now, my fiance, he studies the monetary system. So he like is into crypto and everything. And we've talked about this where I'm like, literally, we just need to make it rain again. Bring the money back to the people. It needs to rain again. We need to bring back the rain. And the way we do that is to rehabilitate, regenerate the soil because it's the soil, it's the plants, it's the native plants, it's the trees, it's the fruit trees, it's the greenery and the fertility of the soil that brings the rain. That's why it rains so much on islands that are so lush because it's the plants and in the greenery and the terrain that the rain is going to come back because it pulls the condensation to it.
yeah.
And so once I had that realization, I was like, okay, how am I going to make it rain again? I realized in that moment that I was really focused on myself.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, this isn't about me and my wealth and me becoming the first millionaire in my family. That's great. I celebrated that in 2023. Amazing. How do I bring this back to the people?
Mhm.
And this is where it got really ancestral because to an indigenous woman, let's say, who grew up in her culture, all she knows is community. All we know is being together. All we know is helping each other. But to the world who's been colonized, it's very singular. It's very me, me, me. I'm alone. Moms are alone all the time. Moms are not supposed to be alone. Moms are supposed to be raising their babies with the other moms in a village, right? So we're so far away from that natural blueprint.
Mhm.
And I remember thinking like, okay, it's not about me anymore. How can I just continually pour into other people?
Mhm.
And that's where the watering woman archetype, the identity of a woman who waters her community. And that's how I've been able to generate the income, the finances, the investments, the assets, because I focused on watering my people,
Mm.
like making it rain again to our people. Ooh, makes me emotional.
Me too.
Cause it's like, I don't understand how these like people that are successful and alone can survive that. It's so lonely. And we're not supposed to experience success alone. And when we really understand the teachings of water, which our people call her our grandmother, she teaches like, oh my gosh,
Mm. Yeah, I
she
feel
teaches us how to give. She's a life giver, and when you create a relationship with her, she will guide you. She's always there. You are water, and there's no separation from that mother. And that's been the most powerful aspect of the water work for me is showing people that it's much deeper than just the water that you drink. It's how you're drinking it. It's how you're listening to how if you really go to the ocean, if you're listening to this, next time you go to the ocean, next time you go to a river, next time you look at the rain, I want you to just envision abundance
Mhm.
and say, whoa, okay, I'm staring out at this ocean of abundance. Or when it's raining, I'm watching the abundance rain down. Or when I'm watering my plants, I'm literally pouring abundance on them so that they can survive. What are you actually doing? You're bringing life. You're keeping things alive. We would not be here without water. That's why water is life. Our
Yeah.
North American Native Americans a lot of us here, even though that's not the right term in my opinion, but a lot of us here say many wachoni, water is life. And these phrases that water is life, like if water is life, okay, and like gives life to everything, shouldn't we be learning how to live from water?
Yeah.
Shouldn't we be learning how to be, how to move, how to give and recirculate and regenerate the things that we build? And even though it might seem faster to go it alone, even though it's easier in some people's minds to lone wolf it and just put all that pressure on yourself to figure it out yourself, like you are water. And when you allow other people to come along with you and support you, everyone rises. And
Yeah.
I have a quote that says, as one water, we rise as one tide.
Hmm.
So true wealth to me is true wealth isn't true wealth until the community is wealthy.
Hmm.
And not separating those two anymore
Yeah.
and realizing that as much as I want to, I used to chase this success, or if you're listening to this, like as much as you think the next thing is more money, or you think the next thing is more success, like we have been traumatized and colonized from the land and our people. And no matter what you do, no matter what you try to chase, there is nothing that will fill the void of community.
Hmm.
Nothing can fill that void. And that's what I find most women are craving
Yes.
is community. Craving is sisterhood, craving to not be alone in it anymore, craving even me. I'm like, yo, I'm like, I want to hang out with other women with passive income and let's go do some cool shit because we have time freedom. Like I created what I wanted, which was my hot spring retreats. And I find that a lot of the higher up women, I have clients that make way more money than me, doing other businesses and other ventures and all that. And it's so interesting, you come into a retreat thinking you have a plan, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, we are the medicine.
Hmm.
And it's just about creating an environment where I call it bioavailability. It goes back to what you love about my brand, freeing God's people from time. Because if you can create an environment where there's space in time, right? It's not so jam packed, I guess you could say, where there's spaciousness, you become bioavailable for what God is trying to give you. And a lot of high level women don't create space in their lives to become available. And I'm like, this is the secret. I just take people in the water, I help them get wet, and all of a sudden they got their business idea. And I'm like, oh, look at that.
I know it's like the paradox or this catch 22 where it's like this is what I see too is like so many people they're so busy trying to figure it out like from their mind that they are completely closed off. It's like, God or the source is like right here saying like, "Hey, this is like your purpose. This is your dharma. This is what's wanting to be expressed through you. I'm right here, but you're over here." It's like but I need to figure it out in like
Yeah.
what's the perfect Instagram strategy and it's yeah so it's yeah there's so many I'm feeling I have so much I didn't realize we had so much in common first of all
Oh, really?
this conversation because everything you're sharing I can resonate so deeply and I love what you shared about number one water the people and stop making it just about us because that's what
Mm-hmm.
I've always found too is like not only it's not only when I'm most successful, but also when I'm most fulfilled and lit up is when I'm not even thinking about myself and I'm just like, how can I be of service in a way that lights me up? And and so okay, I have a question. I wrote this down. I would love to know what um like we've had some conversations and you've shared like both of us have been through some pretty big T severe complex trauma in our life. I would love to know for you, like you've shared a bit about the water and how that supported you, but like what has really supported you, maybe more specifically in like in healing, right? And in when you talked about unblocking the dams, like unfreezing those frozen dams that we carry within us, what has really supported you with that? I feel like that would be really
This is
valuable.
like the deep end. I
Yeah.
thought you're like going straight to the deep end. I love
I'm a sexy
it.
balls deep, baby.
I love it. I don't play on the surface. I'm a mermaid. So, you just got to learn how to breathe in the depths of the water. um, okay, so I was in Tokyo and at the Masuria Water School, and it's like maybe 15 people. And we're taking turns going into the lab. And there's like this $80,000 microscope. And it was my first time being around scientists. And, again, I kind of like idolized academia because I was so bad at it. And so people who were like very high up, I'd be like, wow.
Mhm.
And I go into their thing, they put this jacket on me because it's freezing. And they're like, okay, so water molecules, when when you speak hate and when you have hate or anger, the water molecules go like this. And then when you speak love, the water molecules look perfectly crystallized. You might have seen this science online, right? And so it signifies how we talk to ourselves. And I remember going in there being like, okay. And I've heard opinions about crystallized water and how it's like pseudoscience, whatever.
Yeah.
And I look on the microscope and I'm like, okay. And I'm literally like, I hate you. And I'm like testing it out, right? Like that. And I'm not very good at, I don't even say that word. It even felt weird to say that word, but I'm like exercising that anger and that hate. And I'm just looking on a microscope. I'm like, okay, it looks like a blob, big deal. And then they're like, say, I love you. Feel somebody that you love and say, I love you. And I saw in the microscope how it went from this to perfectly crystallized. I have a picture of it.
Wow.
And in that moment, I really, really, really realized how the trauma that I had been through was inside of me and that it was inside of my water body.
Mhm.
And from there, there's this water code that we teach with stagnant water. It comes together. So like on a microscope, that blob, it just like looks like one big blob. But when it's alive, what the water molecules do is they come together and they break apart, and they come together and they break apart, and they come together and they break apart. And that's called the disassociation of water molecules in science terms.
Mm.
Water can't ever actually die, so I'll say stagnant water. I don't really like to say dead water. Stagnant water, I swear, like that moment, I was like, I think this is what is keeping me from my next level is the codependency, the water molecules that were all stuck together. I was like, I need to stop being like that. And I need to actually become interdependent again.
Mhm.
My whole life was codependent. Every boyfriend I had ever dated, I was codependent. I lost myself. I lost my identity every time. And at this time, I started going deeper into the relationship and the psychology of codependence. And then I like really started uncovering like the depth of why we're codependent and why in specifically for me it was around not trusting other people and why I don't trust and why I felt so much anxiety when my business would get bigger and I would associate of abundance and success with more, and it's because my perception of relationships was really dehydrated. Like I remember thinking, no, more clients just means more people needing stuff from me,
Right.
right? Like more friends means more drama. And I realized all of this narcissistic patterns and why I was dating these men and why I would show up in relationships and like even with friends, like I have been triangulated. I have bullying trauma. I have like I had deep sister wounds of um like power dynamics and like whole communities going against me, literally burning me at the stake after learning human design. I know why now, but back then, like very big trauma around that.
Yeah.
And I know it's because of how I was raised and where I came from in this really complex trauma that was so deep in my nervous system that I didn't understand. Like, how are people able to have these healthy relationships and be happy? Like, how are people just happy and stable was my word, right? Stable. And so I went down the journey of studying John Gottman Institute, where I learned about marriages and divorce and relationships and how to create healthy relationships. And by exercising that, I also paired that with somatics. So I had sexual trauma when I was like, I won't go into details, but really young, under two, didn't know about it. Memory came up later, whatever. You could probably fill in the blank. And I was so disassociated from my own body and my senses that the water, I mean, really, the water was like, hey, you're going to feel again. But that was hard for me because I was feeling again. I was, I mean, even touching myself, touching my neck, touching my hair. Like I wasn't intimate with myself because I was so disassociated. So pair the codependency in, I studied power dynamics specifically, pair the codependency with somatics, and I started learning like, okay, what is it like for me to be in my body? How can I allow myself to feel the senses without being scared of the big emotions? And I will say that in my lineage, bipolar disorder is like a thing. So when I was diagnosed ADHD, they also told me that I had blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Not diagnosed per se, but they said, oh, it comes with ADHD, the opinions. And I started deprogramming from that, and I found Dr. Gabor Mate's work and around ADHD and how people with ADHD, the trauma in the moment takes them out of the moment.
Yeah.
So I started researching about disassociation and somatics and how to bring my body back. I needed to come back into my body. And I learned about fragmentation
Yeah.
and how when we disassociate the fragments, like it's like all of us are all over the place. And so a lot of my work came back to coming back in my body. And so I did that through Watsu. I did that through aquatic body work. And I'm telling you, like, oh, it's so good. It's like so relaxing. And like, I was in Okinawa the first time I had it, but I started learning, okay, I need to like go do yoga and go do some somatics, like body work, whatever. And then I found out about Watsu in Okinawa, and I had a session, and they essentially take you back to the womb in the water, and they open up your spine and like drag you in the water. And because you're weightless, your spine will open up.
Mm,
And so think about how much you walk, how much you sit, like all of that gravity is on you, where really our natural state is to float.
mhm.
And so I had this whole breakthrough session with it, and a lot of codependency again came up, a lot of fear of being alone in my life. But after that session, I started applying it to my life. So when people ask me, like, how did you work through codependency? How did you like come back into your body after disassociation? And I'd say, I float, I take baths, I
Mhm.
go in the water, and I allow myself to sensorily feel myself being held by God.
Mm,
This is where it was like a tangible somatic experience. And what I find with most women is that we think that we have to do something in order to receive something. And
yeah.
we think that we have to like analyze the thing, get to the root and blah blah blah. And honestly, like I said, I don't even know half the time how I heal things in the water, but like sometimes I'll set my intention, I'll acknowledge the water, say my prayers, and I float at rivers, hot springs, bathtubs, and all of a sudden I'm just like processing something really big. And I taught myself, just don't try to analyze it. Just let the waters move through your body. And the water helps me feel that way. And once I allow that, it's like water always returns to the source. Water, the rivers all lead back to the ocean. Like water knows the way. I don't need to know the way. Let me just process in the moment. And giving myself permission to do that frequently, I still do it. I mean, I take like hour-long showers. But that's a practice that now we're doing it with children with autism. Now we're doing it with children with a lot of OCD, like water work. If you guys look up aquatic body work, you'll learn how profound it is for PTSD, brain injuries, just like all around the spectrum, because water, it touches your senses because you can't really like half-ass it. Like you're either going to get wet or you're going to stay dry.
Yeah.
You have to get in all the way. And just that alone has just given me so much peace. And even right now, I'm moving through massive up levels and like very high level partnerships. And it's what I prayed for, right? Because I only work with high level women now. Like I don't even take, I sell water systems still, but the people that I partner with and build with, they have their own organizations, they have their own things going on. And when I come to these places of like, what do I do next? Or like, what's the next expansion? What's going to be my breakthrough? Who do I need to hire? And my mind is doing that left brain thing. I every time just go in the water and I relax and my body will process what it needs to process. And now I've taught my partner how to do it. And so anytime we're like something's coming up, straight to the water and we just full on surrender and I don't have to do anything.
Mm, yeah.
That's my simple answer for you.
Yes. No, I love it. So, of course, I hear like a huge part of it is like the water medicine for you. And then also I hear just allowing, well, it's all one of this in the same, because I hear you say just allowing the emotions, which are water, to just move and just allow them without needing to understand what or why or who or when. And I also hear somatic work and parts work, which has been, yeah, that's been huge for me as well.
Yeah,
Makes,
yeah.
yeah, but I can
I
really,
mean,
yeah, you go.
I think my theory, now that I've written my book and it's all structured for you,
Yeah.
um, I think most people's issues is that they're just not expressing.
Hmm.
Most of the time, it's just you just need to express it. You don't need to analyze it. You just need to express it. And when you express it, I have a quote I go by is just tell the truth. And like, this is my strategy with content. This is my strategy with my brand. This is my strategy with anything that I do. And I'm like, oh, I'm in the left brain trying to figure it out. I'm like, oh, I just need to tell the truth and express myself. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
do that, much similar to Shosh and, slaying the shame and just telling people what's going on. And because I truly feel that where we're going as a society in marketing, they don't want your perfectly curated this and that. They want the raw, transparent truth. And in fact, because I've been speaking about this in my marketing, it's kind of positioning me as an authority. Now that I'm like, I'm not going to fake it. Like, my big thing I say a lot is, I'm not going to fake it if I'm tired. Like, I don't know if you know about hypermobility, but I'm in my process of getting diagnosed. It's basically where you're double jointed all over your body and you can do all the weird things. I can like put my feet behind my head and stuff. But it causes you to get tired more frequently. And I always say, I'm like, even at events, dude, I'm like, I'm tired and I don't feel like talking right now. But again, I'm not going to uphold some fake thing. It's tiring to be fake, and when you let yourself be yourself and express yourself, people will trust you because you're being authentic.
100%. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, it's a huge journey I've been on, just noticing like, oh, this younger part of me thought that if I create this facade, I will be more accepted and loved. And then only to grow older and realize, oh, actually, it's the opposite. This is not working. It's just making me tired when I keep this facade of who I think I need to be loved. And it's actually costing me my own love and acceptance. And it's like, yeah. So, yeah. But well, yeah, I really hope that one day you come to, have you been to New Zealand before?
Yes, I came last year. Was it last year or the year before? After the convention in Okinawa. So it was the year before. Yeah.
You
And
have you been to the South Island?
I flew in to the bottom, rented a car, and drove and took the ferry all the way to the top. So I don't know.
Okay, so yes, because my happy place after 9 years in Australia, where yes, we had the ocean, but I literally felt like the rivers here in the South Island of New Zealand, which is so pristine and beautiful, they were like, I'm like, I have to go back to the mountains and the rivers here. And then
Mm,
just everything you're saying, when I laid in, yeah, this it brings up emotion. When I
mm,
laid in the water, and it's just like I feel it's just medicine, like medicine for the soul. And I felt anytime I go in the water in the rivers here, I just feel this peace and just like I'm home. And yeah, and I feel like this is what really so many people are actually craving. And so, yeah, thank you for this conversation. It's so powerful. And I
mm.
relate with it all so deeply. Yeah,
Yeah. Are you from New Zealand?
yeah.
Like
I
originally you were born there?
I grew up here in New Zealand, but I left. I spent 9 years in Australia and 3 years in Bali because there was so much trauma and pain here for me. And so I would come to New Zealand and I loved it, the beauty of the nature and my family. But then I would just go, all right, I need to get the fuck out of here because it's stirring up all this pain and it's too painful and I don't want to face it. And at the end of last year in Australia, oh my God, holy shit.
Hallelujah. Yay.
I'm
We're not done.
connecting. I'm connecting the dots on a live podcast. Okay, on a podcast. It was,
But
this is crazy. It was when I got back from San Diego. That's the
wow.
first time at Sales Mastery. I saw you we both were on stage at Sales Mastery in San Diego last year in June. Something activated in me there because I have astrocartography lines in Southern California.
Ooh.
And I got back from San Diego and I came back to Australia where we were living. I sat down with my husband and I said, we need to pack up everything and go to New Zealand. It's calling me. I need to go back to my birth country. I need to be in the mountains and the rivers. And oh my God, my whole body's tingling. This is crazy.
I'm like, what's your like lineage? What's your ethnicity?
So, yeah, my brother's wife just got it done. So it's all European, English, German, Scandinavian, Scottish. Yeah.
But you didn't do your own, right? You haven't looked up your own yet?
No, but my brothers would be the same as,
It's not always the same ratios and stuff. Each child is a little bit different, but that it's interesting. I just say that. I mean, this is a really deep part of my work, but if you really understand colonization, we have been disconnected from our motherland. And through naturalization and paperwork, essentially, we've been disconnected from her and the land. And um, I've navigated my way through Christianity and being a follower of Christ, but not religious. And I have like a really deep connection there. And I find that like not many people are actually connected to the land and the water as a way of living. And like when you're speaking, I'm like like your body needed to go home to that motherland so that she could hold you in that pain,
yes, yes.
like the rivers, like I always say the oceans and the rivers see so much. The
Mm.
lakes and the oceans and the rivers see so much because people don't realize it that like people don't realize that they actually go to the water to process emotions, and And that's a big part of my work is bringing people into nature. Every time I do a retreat, you know you're going to end up somewhere crazy with me. I'm like, this is it. Like what you're saying right now and what you're talking about is a very real thing. Your nervous system needed to calibrate with her, and I love that you shared that. Thank you. And I'm so honored that San Diego, my ancestral lands can do that and remind you and activate that within you because I see so many people come to San Diego to get activated in that way. And it seems to Callie, she's fierce, but she will redirect you right where you need to do your work. She's like, you need to go there, you need to go here. And I've seen it. And so I just celebrate you in that. That's amazing.
Thank you so much. And I felt that so deeply. I've been here 4 months and I felt this is like a sanctuary and I'm being held so deeply through all the big waves of old grief and pain, and it feels like so much sometimes, but I'm like, no, this needs to happen because I don't want to have this relationship with my homeland where I'm here and then I just want to escape and get out of it. I'm like, no, I'm gonna be with all of this because New Zealand's magical. So yeah.
Mhm. And isn't it uh or how do you say the native name?
Ao-
Aotearoa?
Aotearoa.
Aotearoa. Yes, beautiful. Yeah, I went to a hot springs there and I have a whole nother story there, but yeah, this has been amazing. Thank you for inviting me on here.
Um, yeah, it's been yeah, so good. And we will share your maybe like a link to your book. Do you have for the in the show notes?
Yeah. Yeah, you guys can go to waterlensbook.com or you can go to watereris.com. You can find me on Instagram, watereris, and you can also find the Instagram waterlensbook and find all my good stuff. Yeah, we're probably going to do our retreat in Japan maybe afterwards. I'm like obsessed with hot springs, so just find me at the hot spring.
Okay. Well, please come back to New Zealand and we'll go to a hot spring together. Maruia hot.
Right? Perfect.
All right, we will definitely we'll put all of that in the show notes so that yeah, everyone listening can connect with the amazing Jilly. And thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom today.
Thank you.